Hello, welcome to the Opinionistics. I'm your host, John Malone. In this episode, don't have co-hosts because reasons, I guess. Anyway, introducing from Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, Doug Lawrence.
Hello, how are you? For me, I guess it's good morning.
Ah, yes, indeed. So, what is it do you do, Doug?
So I'm a international certified mentor, and I am focused on helping people with their healing journey using mentoring processes, um, helping people that are on their healing journey with mental health, mental well-being, dealing with grief, and things along that particular pathway.
Okay, cool. And what is it that inspired you to become a mentor and helping individuals with dealing with mental health?
Well, it first started by I was actually working with college or university students and taking them through a job coaching, and what would end up happening is we'd be successful getting helping them find a job, but then 3 to 4 months into the job, something would come up on the work site, and they weren't quite sure on how to go about dealing with it. So they'd call me up and say, "Gee, Doug, what do we do?" And so I had asked them a bunch of questions, which was actually at that time point uh, utilization of mentoring processes and concepts. I just didn't know that. And over time, I kept getting referral after referral. And eventually they said, "You should do this for a living because, there's definitely a need for it. We can't afford to pay you, but I'm sure somebody could." And so I started to do a bunch of research and stuff. And I found that there was a place for what it was that I was doing, the mentoring part, but also for the certification of mentors. And so I embarked on kind of a simultaneous path where I was working with people, helping them along the way, but also at the same time focusing on we can do more with mentoring if we create the certification process. And now, if I fast forward to today, I've evolved and what I do is evolving. And so now my focus is primarily on mental health, dealing with grief, and using mentoring concepts, processes, and that to be able to help people navigate through that part of their healing journey.
Nice. That's great. So where would you see yourself 20 years from now?
Hopefully still able to maneuver and get around, but what I would see is that we would have been able to take mentoring and get it recognized for the good that it can do, so that it could be part of the support structure for mental health. It would actually become the bridge, as I like to refer to it as. It's the bridge between when I go to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a counselor or whatever. So when I go to see them, then there's always typically there's a 4 to 6 month wait before I can get in to see them again. What I'm trying to, or what I'm positioning mentoring is, it can be that sort of that gap filler or that bridge that will, your mentor is going to be there to just sort of listen and hear and be non-judgmental, but to be part of your support structure, so that you know that you're, as I call it, I'm not standing on the island by myself.
Ah, okay. What is a what is a common misconception that people have about you?
Oh my goodness. I suppose it would be that I have the capacity to help everyone, and that's I guess that's probably one of the dreams that I have, is that I would be able uh, to be there to support everyone else. And I guess that sort of circles back to well, Doug, what about yourself? And how do you plan on taking care of yourself if you're focusing on dealing with everybody else? And I think that what I'm seeing is that a lot of times people are so concerned with their own well-being, and rightly so, that they sometimes, they forget that the person that's providing the care to help them work through their problems may also have some things that they need to deal with themselves.
Interesting. That's good to know.
It's and I don't mean it in a negative context, but I do know that I know for myself, I need to have times where I can kind of just disappear, so to speak, and go through a cleansing process where all of the energy that I have taken on from helping everyone else, I need to be able to get rid of that and sort of start anew or start fresh, so that I'm in a place where I can take more on, and then from that to be able to help that person move forward with their healing journey. Because it's every time you turn around and you have a conversation with somebody, they are dealing with, whether it's mental health issues like post-traumatic stress, depression, anxiety, all of those. But more importantly, and where I'm trying to focus a lot of my attention, is on the aspect of grief, because we've all at some time point gone through something that we've lost, whether it's our identity, whether it can be a number of different things, a loved one, it can be all of those. And we need to be able to deal with those and figure out, okay, how am I going to navigate through that and be able to move forward?
Yes, absolutely. And how can people deal with mental health, particularly?
Well, and I guess, with mental health, we'll look at that from the aspect of post-traumatic stress. We can look at that from the aspect of depression. We can look at that from, people who are struggling with thoughts of suicide. So we can look at all of those, and how do you deal with that is certainly to seek professional help, but also to have a mentor that's going to be there to be part of your support structure, and to be there to listen and hear. And I know, even for myself, having had to deal with post-traumatic stress and turning to alcohol as sort of the crutch that was going to save me, when in fact all it did was make things worse, is to be able to come up with what are the coping strategies that we can put into place that's going to help us navigate through that. And by doing so, we're going to be drawing on the expertise of professionals like psychologists, psychiatrists, and so on. But we're also going to draw on our mentor, who is going to be there when everyone else isn't.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you rather not be able to close open doors or not be able to open closed doors?
I think from a preventative aspect, I would prefer to be able to open closed doors. That's a good question, though.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
What is your favorite quote?
Well, I actually have a couple of my own. One of them is, "I will never leave you on the island by yourself," and that speaks to, from providing support to people, is that, no matter what takes place, I'm always going to be there for you or with you. So that's why, I'll never leave you on the island by yourself. One of my other favorite quotes and it seems to be one that has been picked up on by just about everybody, is the title of my book that I wrote, which is "You Are Not Alone." And it's so interesting to see and hear how many people are using that phrase, "You are not alone," in so many different contexts. And I know when I picked this particular title in consultation with my mentors, this was one that sort of stood out for us as telling the title by itself tells a story.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree to that. What invention has greatly improved the world but doesn't get enough appreciation?
Wow, what invention? You know, I'm you got me on that one, because I'm just trying to think of something that's been invented that um, you could say has made a difference. And there's lots of little things that a change in process. There's a change in how we deal with things. There's all this research and stuff that's taking place to help us deal with cancer, all the different ailments, and that you take a look at COVID and where we are today with that, and how it got treated as a pandemic, and as a result of that, we're in a better place. We're not in the desired place, but we're in a better place than where we were 3-4 years ago. So yeah, I'm at a loss to give you anything other than that.
Fair enough, I can understand. Is there an app that you hate but you still use it anyway?
I don't. I would say no. I'm the sort of person that I find the tools that I need, that I want, and those are the ones I use, and the rest I don't pay any attention to. And most of the stuff that I do is the social media platform, the Facebook, X, or what used to be Twitter, I guess. Facebook, LinkedIn, those are primarily where I focus the majority of my attention. But a specific app, um, I know what I'd like to have, which would be an app that could do a lot of the stuff that I have to do kind of quasi manually when it comes to mentoring. Like, ideally, it would be great if if we had an app that I could log my time or log my session notes and stuff like that in the app itself, or that I could pose a question to the app or through the app, and using artificial intelligence or whatever to be able to give me guidance on, so I'm going to meet with this person, and here are some of the things that I think may come up. How should I prepare for being able to deal with those, and have the app respond accordingly? Those would be things that I would definitely, from an app perspective, that would be where I'd want to go.
Okay, yeah, of course. What is your favorite life hack?
Life hack. Can you clarify that?
I'll try, but it may not be as accurate as I want it to be.
Okay. Well, maybe
So,
between the two of us, we can get it to where you want it.
all right. So when I say a life hack, some I'm talking about like a technique or a method that just makes life a lot easier for yourself and everyone else.
You know, it doesn't work for everybody, but one of the things, and it's an age thing for me, is one of the things that I find beneficial is, and this is, more on a personal level, is that I can access my personal health records using an app online, and it's obviously the security is very tight and to be able to get in there. So, but what I've found is that if I just need to, if I say, for example, went and had some work done at a lab, I can see the results of those tests myself. I don't have to wait for a doctor's appointment. But I highly recommend that you do go for to see your doctor and have them interpret the results. But I've when I look at that and I look at other jurisdictions, other provinces here in Canada that may not have that online capacity, I think I know that that's something that should be in place right across the country.
Yeah, I can see that. Which recent news story have you found most interesting?
News story?
Yeah.
You know, I guess would be the unrest that is taking place, the war that's taking place overseas. The one that pops to mind right off the top when I start to say that is, Russia and the Ukraine. But, there's more unrest that's, surfacing and starting to take place as we're speaking. So I try to watch just enough to stay informed and not get immersed in it too much because of the negativity that surrounds all of that. And it can be very easy to get caught up in all the negative aspects of what's going on. It's interesting because I have some colleagues of mine, and it's part of a bereavement group that I belong to, and we have weekly chats, and we're trying to have a conversation about what's going on and how we would feel and all that sort of thing. And some of the group members are saying, we specifically turn our television off because we don't want to be inundated with all that negative energy, with all that negativity. And if there's something that we feel that we need to know, we'll power up the television and watch it. But other than that, we prefer not to get pulled into that source of negative energies. So I think each and every one of us has sort of our own individual thoughts around the news and what's making news and all of that sort of things. But people also at the same time need to be cognizant or aware of the fact of that can also have an impact on you from a mental health perspective as well.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Do you like spicy food?
I'm going to say yes, in moderation, and by moderation I mean in quantity. So I can take some spicy food in small quantities, I guess is probably the best way to describe it. And in small quantities, I wouldn't say that I could take on a whole bunch of it. Like last night, for example, I was at an event and we had pizza, and the pizza was very good, but it was also spicy to some extent. And what it's done for me is it's provided me with I know now what my body will tolerate, or what is not going to cause any reactions of any sort. And so as long as I stay within that parameter, I can enjoy spicy food and not have to worry. But if I go outside those parameters, then it's not as enjoyable as what it could be.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could travel back in time, what decade would you want to live in?
It would be the 1950s, early 1950s.
Ah, yes. I remember those days. They were something, all right. They were good.
And for me to take me back to the 1950s, my my grandfather would have been still alive, and I felt as though, as I've got to know him better, and the trials and tribulations that he went through, I would have liked to have had more time to spend with him, to kind of see things from his perspective, and I didn't get that chance.
Wow. Yeah, I agree. Dang. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Hmm. So I haven't traveled a whole lot, but of the places I've gone to, I would say that Portugal would probably be fairly high on my list.
Oh, yes, Portugal. It's a great country.
Yeah. We went there on a sort of it was our 40th anniversary, that before my wife passed away from cancer. So we were able to sneak in or squeak in one more trip before she got really sick. And we both had said, when we were wrapping up to come back home, we both had said, and that, if we were given the opportunity, that would be definitely a place that we would think of relocating to, and living out the rest of our life there. The downside to that, of course, is then you're separated from family, and we've got two absolutely wonderful grandchildren that we didn't think it would be prudent on our part to take off and go and live in another country, and not take into account what that could do, or what that would mean to the two grandchildren.
Oh, yeah. What's the best way to start the morning?
I start mine with a cup of coffee every morning. Um, I, make a cup, and I take it back to bed, and I just start to think about what my day is going to hold, and who am I going to be meeting with, and how can I bring value, and I start to go through and formulate all that, and then once I'm done my coffee, then I get ready and start my day. But yeah, I always starts with a cup of coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. If you were chosen to colonize a new habitable planet, will you take the opportunity?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I would. I What a great place to introduce mentoring. I'm, I'm just thinking, that would be a great place to do something, excuse me, something like that. But yes, definitely, I would take that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could host your own talk show, who would you have on as your first guest?
Well, it would, and if there was, uh, if the slate was wide open and there were no restrictions and any of that, I would probably be searching for one of the Obamas. I think either one of those would be great. I would search for Ken Blanchard, who's a leadership author, well respected, and kind of somebody that I'm absolutely hooked on his books that he writes. Um, so it would be, and there's a lot of other people, but those would be sort of the three that kind of jump to the forefront at this stage.
Okay, yeah. If you could turn any activity into an Olympic sport, what would you have a good chance of winning a medal for?
Well, probably not much, but if I could turn anything into, see, most of the when I think about that particular question, most of the stuff that I would be comfortable, like curling, for example, that already exists. In curling would and hockey. While my skating days may be over, I could still provide mentorship and supervision, if you want to use that term, for the hockey referees. So those would probably be a couple areas, but beyond that, some of it would be probably a stretch, like pickleball and things like that. I'd like to be able to get engaged in something like that, but I'm not there yet.
Okay. If you had a song for every time you enter the room, what song would that be?
Oh my. The one that I listen to all the time is Hallelujah, and the version that I like out of all the versions that are out there is the one that's sung by a young lady called Lucy Thomas, and I believe she's from the UK. Her and her sister, but she does a rendition of Hallelujah that is out of this world. So that would be the song I would like.
All right then. Have you heard of a drink called Banana Friche?
No, haven't heard of that one.
I get that a lot. So understandable.
Yeah. No, it's not ringing any bells.
Fair enough. Only one person have said they kind of heard of it, but yeah, that's about it. That's as good as it'll ever get.
Yeah. Good question, though.
Yeah, thanks. What was the strangest dream you've ever had?
I don't know that it was a dream. It was when my mom got diagnosed with cancer, and our daughter was going to be getting married, and I remember being visited and by somebody, and while I'd gotten up to go to the washroom, and when I came back, they were standing in my walk-in closet, and it was as though we were communicating with each other. And anyhow, long story short, she had come to let me know she was going to take my mom, and I had asked I had asked if they could let her see her granddaughter get married, and then if she had to take somebody, she could take me instead, and let grandma spend some time with her granddaughter. And anyhow, long story short, we did get the extra time, and so my mom got to see her granddaughter get married and got to spend a bit of time with her. And then the cancer won the next battle. So it was an interesting experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is all we have for this episode. It was great having you on, Doug, talking about your works as a mentor and discussing your experiences on mental health. It's been fabulous.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're welcome. And until next time, stay opinionated.